Hello everybody, in this video I have some mixed media card making to share with you. I'm using the 13 Art Sunrise papers and ephemera pack for these ones, so lots of lovely deep blues, navy blues, peach tones and gold tones, all of my favourite sort of things, favourite sort of colours. So I'm going to start off with my usual, which is choosing, actually not exactly my usual because I usually just take one 12 by 12 and make card blanks out of it, but I actually make card blanks out of two separate ones in this one. So for this one, I've got two cards, which I think I measure about 5 by 6, something like that. But I really wanted to make a card with that beautiful flourish of dark blue and peachy flowers on that blue background as well. So I've cut a roughly slimline shaped card out of that. It's a little bit bigger. Slimlines are usually what, 3 by 7.5 or something like that, and this is 4.5 by 7.5 or 4.25 by 7.5, something like that. Oh look, there I am writing down the sizes there, and there was a little bit left over from that, so I'm taking that tiny little square, which is 4 by 4 ish. I'm going to make a card out of that as well. I started taking some bits to start fussy cutting, then realised I hadn't done my usual thing of adding the clear gesso first, so I'm going back and then adding the clear gesso. I use what's it called, like a silicone spatula thing. They're designed for, they're a beauty makeup thing, they're designed for putting face masks on, I think, but they're really good for crafts and so much cheaper than actual silicone brushes designed for crafts, so really recommend those for these sort of things. Then I decided for some of my background I wanted to add some rice papers and collage and stuff, so I took this rice paper from my stash, which is from an eBay shop, I think. No, an Etsy shop, I think it was, that sells rice papers. I will try and link that shop, because if you're in the UK, they have so much choice. I think they have their own website as well, but I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, it had those lovely brown and blue tones on it that I wanted to use, and there was like the clock shape and the shape of the like stone angels or something, so I thought I would make those work. The other bit I ripped out was from a Tim Holtz collage tissue paper pack. I can't remember which one, maybe typography, not 100% sure. So using my usual method here of adding rice paper, tissue paper, collage paper, whatever here, I use collage medium underneath and then clear gesso on the top, because the clear gesso on the top is going to work better for anything that's going to be added, paints, sprays, other mediums, whatever it is. So that's why I do that. I also brought in just a few strips of ripped up washi. It had it's like a vintage musical notes one. I thought the tone of it went quite well with a lot of the cards and the colours of the cards, so that's why I brought that in. Often where I have something like the collage piece goes over the card a little bit, I tend to sort of fold it over the card and then glue it on the back as well, because if you just cut it at the top, it's more likely to peel away, so that's why I fold it over like that. Anyways, I put those aside to dry once I've done all my collaging, and then I'm going to do all my fussy cutting. I mostly used, I think I almost only fussy cut pieces from the Sunrise paper pack, maybe a couple of bits. Oh, there's some flowers from a Maramy Small Art paper pad as well, but I think I go back and get some more bits from that as well, so you'll see it at some point. Here I'm adding some stamping with Brilliant's Galaxy Gold ink. It's a Damaski stamp, and usually with mixed media I don't bother with a stamping block because I'm not fussed about it being perfect stamping. In fact, sometimes it looks better if it's imperfect, but that damask stamp, it just wasn't working without a stamping block, so I had to bring it in. And I just wanted to add that little damasky vibe and the lovely gold shimmeriness to it. I did think about maybe doing some stamping and embossing, but I don't know, it just didn't feel right. I can't really explain why. I go with my gut when I make these. Then I'm adding some stenciling. Again, this really lovely damask stencil, which, is it Prima? I can't remember where that stencil is from, but it's beautiful and I love it. The medium I'm using here is the Distress texture paste, I think. I really like this texture paste. Actually, it feels nice when you're using it, and it dries really nicely, and it actually absorbs colour even when it's dry, which is not necessarily something you want. Sometimes you want it to repel colour, but you know, it's a good thing to have if that's what you want, as it were. So doing my usual, I kind of treat the cards like a factory line. I do all the stenciling at once, all the stamping at once, and go back and forth between the cards, figure out if one needs more or less or whatever. Again, put those aside to dry, and I'm going to do a little bit of foiling here with the AB Studio transparent foils. So these are like heat-proof acetate with these prints on that you can take foil on and add heat to make them foiled. You don't have to. I use a little travel iron, as you can see, like this. You don't have to. There's ways of doing it, like with a laminator and stuff. There's plenty of videos out there talking about how to do it, so I'm not going to bother. But I find the travel iron is the easiest way of doing it. I find the laminating way a bit of a faff, but not everyone has a travel iron ready to use, and I don't know to what extent you can use a normal big iron, like if that's too big and cumbersome and more likely to be dangerous, I don't know. So I'd foiled a couple of these really lovely butterflies. They're like slightly unusual butterflies. The wings of some of them have patterns in, like floral patterns and stuff, as opposed to normal butterfly patterns. So yeah, just a bit different, very pretty. I chose that foil that it's gold, but it's kind of an antique-y gold, if you know what I mean. I thought that would stand out really nicely on the dark blue backgrounds and stuff. And then here I have the Minte Junk book, where I am pulling out some tags and tabs and stuff, just things to build up my backgrounds for what I'm going to put my embellishments on. I find with most things, if you, oh, that's the Marry Me Small Art Pad I was talking about just there. I find if you just throw flowers on a card without any sort of base, they get a bit lost. So that's always why I cut out those things like tags and frames and other squares, maybe sometimes journaling cards and stuff. It just, yeah, as I said, it gives your embellishments a better base. I went around the edges of each card with Distress Oxide in Chip Sapphire, and I'm going to continue to use that throughout this video. But here I'm going to start colouring my cards with some medium. So first up, I've got Dilution Spray, the original one, not the glittery one, in the colour. I have forgotten the colour. In the colour After Midnight. I'm adding water to that to let it flow around a lot, give a bit of a more natural look, a bit of a more messy look, and then doing exactly that on every single card. I will say this is one of those projects where I have that stage of completely hating it at one point, you know, sitting there and look at it going, I've completely messed these up, these are awful, I hate them, I need to start again. But whenever I feel like that, I just need to walk away for a while. Even if it's 10 minutes can even help sometimes. You just have to go back with fresh eyes, and it can make the world of difference. And I wanted this card, the long card especially, to be special because it was for my niece's 18th birthday, and obviously you want that to be a nice special card. And I'm going, oh, I've ruined it, I've completely ruined it, I'm the worst person, I'm a rubbish mixed media artist, I'm crap, I hate myself. But as I said, walk away for a little while, come back at it with fresh eyes, and you'll go, oh, actually, this is quite nice. So what I'm adding here, I dried the Dilution Spray, and then I'm adding Dina Wakley Gloss Spray in the colour Night. I think doing the same thing with that, but then I really liked that white stenciling, so I thought I would try and bring it back a little bit. I'm adding Distress Spray Stain here in Picket Fence, but all that really did was activate the blue underneath it to turn it into a more milky blue. So yeah, didn't really work. So instead I went in with some matte wax by Prima, you know, the Prima or Finavere Art Basics. It's in the colour Old White, and I'm just going to rub that onto my fingers and rub it over the stenciling so that the raised bits of the stenciling are going to catch that wax, and the shapes of the lovely damask stenciling really actually does stand out. And I really like that at that point because I wanted that blue, but I also wanted the white of the stenciling, so that worked out really, really nicely. Obviously, all the sprays and mediums behind it had to be completely dry for me to add that wax. The wax does dry very, very quickly. You can give it a very quick go over with the heat tool, but like 10 seconds and it's job done. If you put the heat tool on the wax too long, it just melts, and that is not good. Quickly adding the cards onto the card bases here. I like to do it after I've added all the wet mediums, but before I add all my layers and embellishments, just because it's harder to stick them on the card blanks when you've got all the 3D embellishments on, basically. That's why. So from here onwards, I'm going to be fiddling around with the embellishments, figuring out what goes on what card, going back and forth between cards, adding a bit here, adding a bit there, adding a flower here, taking away a flower here. So what I'm actually going to do is speed it up a little bit more, shut up for a few minutes, and put you on fast forward with some music and stuff, so you can watch the process, but I don't have to repeat myself over and over again because I'm simply doing the same thing. And I'll come back to you in a little bit. And I am back. So here I decided to bring in some paper flowers from my stash to make that big card I was saying about my niece, just to make it a little bit extra special. I also used the happy birthday, which came in the Sunrise ephemera pack, to cover up that word gorgesso, because no offense to Marta of Marry Me Small Art, but for anyone who doesn't watch her channel, the word gorgesso is going to be like, excuse me? What? And I'm fairly sure my niece doesn't watch, so that's why I covered that up. And obviously it needs a happy birthday as well. I also ended up, I had foiled those 4 butterflies to put 1 on each card, but then I actually ended up putting 3 of them on this one card, you know, which is fine. You know, plans change all the time and I've got plenty of other stash to use. But yeah, it just looks so much better with those 3 butterflies on. And as I said, it was supposed to be a special card. So there we go. I did get a little bit stuck with some of the other cards though. Once I got rid of the idea of putting a gold butterfly on each one, it did throw me for a loop a little bit. So adding a couple of tiny, well, not tiny, but smallish paper flowers to the little card, and then the really big butterfly on that one. It's a real main focal point to that one. Then on the others, I got stuck. I had butterflies in my head. I didn't know what else to do, so I cut some acetate butterflies and some vellum butterflies from my stash. The acetate ones are going on this one. A little note, if you're using hot glue with acetate, you need to be careful because hot plus acetate equals little bit melty sometimes. Obviously that doesn't count with things like the foiling ones from AB Studio, because they're designed to be heat proof, but with most acetate you just have to be careful. I have um, de-winged a butterfly once by using hot glue on an acetate butterfly, but anyway. And the vellum ones, I think they're from a Vicky Boutin collection, maybe? I don't know, could be wrong there. Put a "for you" on that card, and then I spent ages figuring out about the sentiments for the other two cards. I tell you what it is, I was feeling lazy and I couldn't be bothered to stamp and emboss a sentiment, so I was absolutely determined to find a pre-made one in my stash, and it took a while, but we got there in the end. This one was from one of those little vintagey die cut packs you get in the works, but I thought adding the chip sapphire around the edge would be enough, but it didn't stand out quite enough, so I had just added some gold foiled card to the back of that to help it, yeah, stand out a little bit more. Then the next stage I'm going to do is add splatters, because of course I have to add my splatters. This is Winsor & Newton drawing ink in gold. It's one of my favourite things to use for splatters. I use the white one for splatters as well. This ink though, it's an antique gold, so it was going better with like those butterflies I was telling you about earlier, more of an antique bronzy gold rather than a there in your face bright gold, if you know what I mean. And then of course I'm going to finish off with Nouveau drops. I'm going to do each card and show it to you. So the Nouveau drops I am using on almost every card. I don't think, there might be one card I only use 2 colours of. I'm not entirely sure, but the colours are the normal gloss white, bright gold, and midnight blue. I swear so many of the things that I've used in this video have been called midnight or night something. But here I am just showing you the cards as I go through them, and that is going to be it for this video. So thank you so much as always for watching. Please leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Chat to me down in the comments, let me know which card is your favorite, and yeah, that's going to be it from me. Thank you so much again. Bye bye.